flood. When fears come in and flood your mind. When you think you're going down. When you think you're not going to make it. When you think you're going to fail God. Or you've not measured up. When the enemy comes in and tells you that you're unworthy, you're unholy, you're no good. You'll never get it. What do you do when the enemy comes in like a flood? You see, the Lord raises up a standard. Let me show you what that standard is. Look at verse 1. The Lord reigneth. He is clothed with majesty. The Lord is clothed with strength, wherewith he hath girded himself. And he's put on his armor and set for battle. You have to have a clear vision that your Lord and Savior is standing by. His eyes on your flood, his eyes on you. You have to have a clear vision of what God has promised here. I've not ignored you. I see where you're at. I see what you're going through. Look at me. He says, I have girded myself. I put on my armor. I have my sword in hand. And then read what it says, verse 4. The Lord on high is mightier than the noise of many waters, yea, than the mighty waves of the sea. God says, get your eyes off the flood, get it on me. I've got my sword in hand. I am more powerful. I am mightier than all your floods. I'm bigger than all your fears. Get your eyes off your fears. He said, I've girded myself. That hit me. I could hardly sleep. I picture my Lord standing over me, sword in hand. He knows how far it can go and no further. He'll come.
All right. Welcome to Proverbs Guys Ministries. Achilles, can you hear me?
Yes. Let me check YouTube and see that.
All right.
Yep.
Proverbs Guys Ministries.
Yep. We can hear you there too. Oh, wait. Where did you go? All right, everybody. This is my show. No, I'm kidding. He's coming back to ruin the day. Here he comes to wreck the day. Yep.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yay. I could hear you. I said yes.
I saw your thing move, like, to show me that you were speaking, but I couldn't hear a darn thing.
Okay. But I checked it on YouTube, and you sound fine.
Thank you. I'm like a 7, like a high 6 or a humble 7.
A humble 7. I like that.
Well, you guys are here on a Saturday, and that means you had nothing else to do, so we appreciate you guys being losers with us. And we're glad that you came and decided to spend your time with us. We don't really have anything amazing planned for today, but we do have something small to show you, and we're going to kind of feed off of that. It is an open panel, so if you're brave enough, you can come on and tell us why we're wrong or why you agree with us. Probably the first one, if history tells us anything. And Achilles, what am I missing?
That I was going to the chat to respond and have some fun there as well. I would just call Krista a snitch and I would laugh with Dan and all that, but okay, I'm going on with the video. I was hoping you could run for like 5 minutes.
I can. There's plenty of subject matter. One thing we're wanting to talk about today, Achilles is trying to make his way to the comment section to go to war with you. One thing, that's not what we're talking about today. One thing we are talking about today is we're going to be talking about the real IDs and how that's making a rapid move towards the global chip. And then we're going to be going into how pretty much the precursors for the Mark of the Beast are all already here. And this is nothing new. This is something that's been talked about for quite a while, even on these communities that we all know and love. And Achilles has some video to show us how this has even been talked about recently. And we just kind of want to warn Americans that the end is probably a whole lot closer than we anticipate. And we just want everybody to be prepared. So the best way to be prepared for tribulation and for the bad times is to, 1, know that you're going to go through it. We believe that. And 2, It's to be prepared. Dan the man, what is up?
Hey, I was just wondering, those global chips better not have sauce or hot sauce on them, man.
Well, to be
No,
fair, I
they're
have the
not
real
natural.
ID already, and it hasn't affected me very much yet.
That's because you have George Washington as your name.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm American royalty.
And it's interesting how uh, we are. I wanted to say something else, but it's diving a little deeper into it. And so let me intro a bit of a small video that we're going to watch, which, as I was telling Steven backstage, we were having a discussion, and I said I'm not working on a video, but I am. But the thing is that I'm doing something else right now, and if I tell myself that I'm working on a video, then I'm not gonna finish what I'm working on. So I'm not working on it, but things keep happening. And before I go to bed, I remember to come back and add them, and it keeps becoming a video. I'm turning an eye. I'm like, I don't wanna watch this. I don't wanna know I'm doing a video, but what happened is, and what relates to what Steven just said, is that we're trying to warn people, and it is very disappointing to see mentalities that are supposedly Christian and yet they are still denying it. For example, the start of this video we're about to watch, and I'm making a bigger intro than the video itself because it's not even like a full 2 minutes. But it's somebody who says on the next day of Charlie's assassination that he's glad to be an American because at least he can speak his mind without being afraid. He said that on a Charlie Kirk memorial show 2 days after that.
Which is a
And
little ironic, right?
isn't it? Isn't it? So that's what started it. And then one thing happened after the next, and the UK just announced yesterday, 2 days ago, if you guys don't know, that a digital card is coming for all UK citizens to tackle immigration, wink, wink, and you need it to work. So, what does the Bible tell us about the mark? You will not be able to buy or sell without it. Well, you do need to work to be able to buy and sell stuff. So, immediately we have a country that just is like, you ain't gonna be working here no more, even if you're a British citizen, even if you have an ID, a passport, a birth certificate, your mom's birth certificate, your dad's birth certificate, you still need that chip. And it just landed. And it's not the first country, it's actually the third country. The US, Greece, and the UK. And once those three have it in place, then the other countries are just going to follow suit. They'll be like, hey, yeah, well, everybody's doing it. We got to do it as well. And trust me when I say, as a European, you won't find much resistance in the Swedes or in
What
the
what's
Belgians.
what strikes me about it, Achilles, is that it's the United Kingdom, it's Greece, and it's the United States. So it's supposed to be three of the freest countries on earth. So that's a dilemma there. But it's also three of the last standing Christian nations on earth,
And
of the
that's right.
significant ones.
Because if those three forts fall, then it's going to be a walk in the park for the rest of them.
Yeah. There's no resistance for Christianity if those three fall.
Dan, your thoughts, and before we press this play.
Oh, I'm in total agreement because as you guys know, I'll give you a bad time sometimes, but I think Satan is above all the nations of the world. And yes, I think, and we've talked about that. I'm glad I can have a voice in stopping one abortion. That's awesome. But I'm not fooled by the fact that Satan's going to use both wings, right wing, left wing, the brainless middle, um, to do his work. And we have to be wise. We have to be looking out for it, because especially that when it hits like the immigration. Britain, England, that you can still get arrested if you say something bad about somebody. That, and not even bad about them. It's just like, I disagree with this, and they throw you in jail. That's the one that's going to give you a card, because if you get that card, we're going to fight immigration, illegal immigration, which is hurting the people's jobs. Come on,
And,
guys, be smart, be wise.
and when it comes to the freedom of speech, I think everybody notices, even the MAGA movement notices that the what happened recently created some dictatorship tactics when it comes to what you can say or what you can't say. And I've had discussions with other members of our community, and they are both believers and Republicans, and they don't like what's happening. When you have, like, one day after the assassination, you have the secretary, no, Supreme Judge, what's her name? I don't even remember her name, saying that we're gonna go after the social media, and if you are saying something that you shouldn't, rest assured we're coming after you. This is a direct threat to freedom of speech, and we didn't see it from the other side. We saw it from this side happening. Of
and
course,
and it happens from both. Exactly, it
yeah.
happens from both, and both
I'm
times
not.
it's like
I'm not.
with.
I'm not saying it wasn't
Oh, I
there.
know.
Yeah,
I
it
know.
was there already.
It was there already, but this is the way that the right can be thrown into it too, because we've been seeing here. If you say something, oh, Big Brother is going to shut you down on the things, but to
Right.
say that, and then they use a thing, and they do it, and I think they do it purposely. Satan's little minions is it's like, oh, we got to shut down freedom of speech of somebody who's accusing a whole group for shooting Charlie Kirk who didn't. So there's a difference, but it's
And
all
look,
in
and
the
look,
way it's
and
twisted.
look. Some years ago, we had this. You can't be like talking about gender openly. People would come after you. Before that, you couldn't talk about the virus openly. They would come after you. Now you can talk about what happened openly. The others will come after you. So here's what happens. There is one agency, and if I say something, the right side is going to attack me from that agency. And if you say something, the left side of that agency is going to attack you. So it is the same thing. It's the
The
same
real
agency.
the real scary thing to me, though, guys, is that they're doing it all under the ruse of stopping hate speech. But one, who gets to define hate speech? Because right now in England, you can get arrested for quietly standing across from an abortion clinic and praying. That's what they're going to deem hate speech here, too. So even though we have reversed abortion in this country and it's now a states' rights issue, which it always should have been, we're still headed towards a direction where even if we go and stand across the street from an abortion clinic and quietly pray, we're in danger. And that's
That
scary to
that
me.
that's already happened.
Yeah.
There's states, California, New York, that if you're in eye distance of an abortion clinic and you just have a sign that save life or baby's life, you will be arrested. That's been happening for years, and that's even on the other side of that, though, when no, it shouldn't be a state right issue. That is the killing of a baby. That should, but the Fed got involved in saying, yeah, you got the right to kill little babies. It should have been a federal issue. No, you cannot kill innocent life.
My
Innocent human
problem,
life cannot
my
be killed.
my counter to that, Dan, is any country that is powerful enough to say no one can have an abortion in any state. That same government is powerful enough to say every state has to accept it. And we saw that with Obama. So, yeah, for moral reasons, I totally agree. No state should be allowed. But in order to keep checks on our government and to prevent them from being able to force a mandate like that on all Americans in every state, we have to keep those two separate.
No, and I'll come back with that is because already we have a federal law against murder. So, and that's where I'm putting it up there. No, if it's something of murder, which abortion is, even though legally it's not, because the government doesn't define it as that. That's the difference. Yeah.
Well, I agree with you there, but we, like you just said, we have federal mandates against murder, and we have amendments that guarantee protection for all American citizens, and that should include the unborn ones. So I agree with you. But we have standing laws already that if we actually stood up on those laws, we would be able to prevent that murder.
Oh, exactly. Well, there's Robin. Hi, Robin. And Maud, how are you doing? Baptist dude. So you ready, Achilles? Did I babble enough that you can do your video?
Yeah. Again, don't expect anything fancy or big. I just put some stuff together at some point, but I'm working on masonry. Now, I'm not a mason, but I'm actually the actual masonry. I'm building a garage. I have cement. I have bricks. I have paints. I'm doing all that stuff. But at the same time, I just put a couple things together. So don't expect any big thing here. Just 2 minutes about the subject that we're on.
So, like Achilles was just saying, this video is going to be life-changing, and you don't want to miss it.
And if it's not, I will order Steven to boot you for a minute. Okay, it better be good.
No pressure, Achilles.
Yeah, no pressure.
In Greece, I heard from Achilles that they're trying to bring in the identity card.
Oh, brother.
Which is one step before. I'm sure they're going to start saying after with the identity card, oh, there's a lot of fraud. It's not a good thing. We're going to bring this in now. Hey, we'll just implant something in there. And,
No, I was just going to say the thing is, I feel sorry for you guys. And when I say you guys, I mean Canadians, the UK.
May 7th is the start of America's new ID program, and the White House wants to make sure that you're ready. The program is when federal officials will start looking for either a small star or a small flag on your driver's license or ID card to make sure that it is compliant with new rules that enable information sharing between the states and the feds.
Are going to be looking for that star for the new mandate of states having information shared between one another. All right, I have a simpler explanation. There is a microchip behind that star. All right, but they're trying to, not to make a fuss about it. Some people might not understand why that star matters. So let's scroll a little back to hear how he describes those new cards. These cards have a chip in them, and that's why it is easier for states to have information, because they are in one database, right? Was I muted all this time?
No, I unmuted you.
So what did you hear?
I just heard the whole
president.
I heard the whole spiel. I caught it about. I muted you when you started playing the video, and then I had to unmute you immediately after you paused the video. So that's where we're at.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to see that he's not mentioning the fact that there is a chip behind the star or the flag. He's only saying that the star is beginning to become mandatory so the states can share information. He's not saying why the states will be able to share information. So this is how the media is trying to play you, because they're all working for the same guy.
A small star or a small flag on your driver's license or ID card to make sure that it is compliant with the new rules that enable information sharing between the states and the feds.
Prime Minister Keir Starmer says progressive leaders have to confront the lies used by the far right. He was speaking at the Global Progress Action Summit, where he announced the UK will be introducing mandatory digital IDs as part of a plan to tackle illegal immigration. His government has been under pressure to tackle immigration with an increasing number of anti-immigration protests across the UK. Sonia Gego reports.
A campaign to renew social democracy, unity among international...
Yeah, I know I can say anything I want on here, and I'm not going to be prosecuted. But I wonder if you guys, I better watch what I say, because it might be detrimental to me. You know what I'm saying? So I sincerely feel sorry for anyone that's not an American right now, as far as free speech goes.
Right, right.
Unbelievable. And you know what's wild is people's attitudes in the States about it. Talking about Kennedy, people...
Other discussion, which this is not our subject right now. Plus, I haven't checked it for copyrights. Bill Hicks, this part of Bill Hicks' revelation show, the whole thing is a little tight on copyrights, so I'm not sure if it would roll. So this was just my editing deck, throwing things together as my brain connects them. It's not ready yet. What matters is that what we talked about. There is this chip is coming, and 3 countries have announced it for this year. Yours was, the deadline was May 7, the one that passed. For you, you cannot travel internationally without it, and domestically you will need a passport. You can no longer travel domestically with your ID card if it doesn't have the star. So that's what is in it for you, while the Brits will not be able to go to work without it, and the Greeks, it's a more complicated story. We're still fighting it here, and it has taken a delay, so we'll see what happens.
One thing that scares me, and then Dan, you feel free to chime in too. One thing that scares me is that we are attacking free speech at the same time we're embracing the precursor for the mark of the beast. Like, I find that very alarming, and nobody seems to worry about it.
Hello?
Yep, I agree, Stephen. This is not a coincidence that those two are happening at the same time. Hello, Dan, we can hear you. Thank you, Missing Mod.
We can't hear him now because he just muted. Oh yeah, I have a feeling that last one may be from a troll trying to cause some division in the group. But unfortunately, this won't be an easy episode for you to divide us on, because all 3 of us detest the mark of the beast, and all 3 of us detest the assault on freedom of speech. So
it doesn't matter which side bans you from saying something. You know, both sides should fight for freedom of speech equally.
yeah, I may hate what you're saying, but I'll defend your right to say it.
That is supposedly what you guys have been fighting for all these years, and now you end up having one side saying, well, there are exceptions, and these are the exceptions. And then you have the other side saying, you're right, there are exceptions, and these are our exceptions. So while that is taking place, those that testify the name Jesus end up getting assassinated. And this is coming all at the same time.
Oh, do you think Charlie would have been, oh, yeah, everybody get this. Oh, this is a great idea. You know, it's funny because, again, they wanted to divide. And I guess I just missed that. If somebody was trying to comment again, I'll go back out and smack them down. But you look at that, and it's not for our good. The reason, and I see that with California because I'm here, and we had a perfectly fine driver's license. And first I was thinking, oh, yeah, give a driver's license to anybody. And then that's going to, you know, for one thing, then I had to pay money to get the new and approved, which California made a bunch of money off of that. And then the second thing is that now with this new one, that was probably behind it in the first place, because the only reason California likes illegal drivers is because it's the biggest percent per population in a culture that loves to drink and drive. So every time in California you get popped for a DUI, 15 it's up to 15 grand first time. 15 grand. And these, you know, come on, guys. Come on.
So you're
And
saying
so-
it was more of like a tax racket scheme? is
Oh,
what you're
it's
saying.
money. California, it's always how do you get the billionaires more billions and the middle class kicked out, and then those, you know, the poor people that come to work, yep, that's their culture to party. And you're saying somebody the minimum wage, $15,000 for drunk driving. I'm totally against drunk driver. I was one of the, you know, supporters of whatever against drunk driving when it came out. But of course, the government had to go and make a money market scheme out of it, because, you know, I would have rather seen a person, if you get caught drunk driving, you're going to work, you know, a work party, which will help the state go clean up the roads, go help whatever. No. Here, your money now is payable to the state of California and other places for $15,000. You creeps. Anyway. My
You
2
see
cents is,
What's your 2 cents?
well, that plus the thing is that now we have to get new ideas and new IDs. And wow, when we get the new IDs, when we get the new passports, because you had to have a passport now because of California driver's license, you can't get on a plane. You couldn't get on a plane because you didn't know who it is.
And here's the
They
thing
were,
I can
they were a
add.
joke.
Here's what I can add to what you're saying. They are benefiting from the problem financially, as you just mentioned. But this is how they have planned to bring in the chip, by allowing problems to go forever and then provide the solution as being only this one. So I'll give you another example. For Greece, it has been bureaucracy. Like, we just can't fix bureaucracy. If only it's been going on for like 100 years. If only we had a microchip, it would fix everything. And now people are begging for it, because to sell a house, you need to go get a paper that you have to sign by somebody else who is a public servant and he's not at his workplace. So now you have to go and find him. And when you find him, he says, no, you have to go to the other one and make another paper. Then you have to go and stamp it on that office. And then that office needs an approval from the other office. And they've turned this into a mess. And they're saying, hey, look at this little chip. If we had that, you wouldn't be going through all that trouble. In the UK, it is migration. They allow it to become this big, and in the US. They haven't said it yet in the US, but they will say that we need to have a way of knowing if you are a citizen or not, and people are going to run for it. I know those that dabble with thinking might say, I actually have a birth certificate. but the others don't. Not the majority does think so.
Well,
I
what
look,
scares me is that the freedom of speech argument, it's a one-way street. It only goes one direction. And every time the left comes in power, they attack free speech on the right, and then when the right comes in power, we attack free speech on the left. And there's going to come a time when Americans, but every country is going to have this conversation with Uncle Sam or their own Uncle Sam. But there's going to come a time when both the left and the right, the people like us, we're going to get tired of not having any speech at all. And then when we stand up together and say, you know what, I think we all want our speech back, Uncle Sam's just going to say no. That's what scares me.
because now it has been legislated, and it will be too late.
That's where I'm not very trusting, because that's why I think the whole border crisis on the left and the right, because both the left and right, and it was just Trump who came in. That was before president going, oh, don't vote for a stupid bill that's going to cost us billions of dollars. We need more agents. We need more of this. We need more of that. We need more government bureaucracy. Trump, before he was elected, said, Republicans don't vote for that. And they were getting wailed, Republicans really don't want the border solved. Trump gets into office, like him or not, he shut the border down. Zero, he switched, people here.
Yeah.
But at the same
Anyway,
time, though, but to finish that, and then you can answer, is that both the left and the right were going to throw money at Washington, D.C. to try to slow down the immigration that neither of them wanted. Both the rich
instead,
Republicans, rich Democrats want their toilets cleaned
yeah.
by cheap labor.
No, the autocracy needs the cheap labor, and it's on both sides, right?
Right.
So let's not forget that this president is connected to the highest billionaires of the earth, and those billionaires love the cheap labor. All right.
But then he wouldn't have shut the border down, because the United States is not happy.
Well, it's not going down. But let me give an analogy of how they work, so I don't fall in the trap of talking about what the left does, what the right does. I wanna give an example of why it doesn't matter. Let's say you are in a bathtub that somebody is heating the water, and somebody else is allowing more water to come in. We may have different opinions for the solution. One is going to say, stop the water from coming in, and the other one is going to say, stop it from heating. So you have one side that is fighting to stop the heating, and you have the other side that is fighting to stop it bringing in more water. It's the same thing. The boiling pot keeps boiling, and it's like the frog that if you raise the temperature immediately, it's going to jump out of the water. But if you raise it slowly, it doesn't understand it, and it ends up getting boiled. So what they keep doing for years, and I'm talking about 5 decades now, is they have us stalling from actually acting against this by blaming each other all the time. Hey, yeah, but you were the ones that did that. Yeah, but you were the ones that did that. Yeah, but what about this and what about that? And that is the divide and conquer strategy. And now that people are beginning to wake up to it, they are using the shock doctrine strategy, which is to keep shocking you with stuff all the time. New shock, new shock, new shock, new shock. So you don't end up like chill back and think. You are reacting from this to that and this to that. So it's not just the US. It happens worldwide. And as our brother in Christ said, that's why they call them wings. You know that the term wing is worldwide. They call them wings in other countries too. and it's always the left wing and the right wing. And the reason is that it's one bird, and the bird needs to fly. So one side might have Stephen, the other side might have me, and the bird keeps going. You know what I'm saying?
Sadly, yeah. Robin has a couple questions. She has a question
Oh,
for
good.
me pertaining to First Amendment speech. So I'm not exactly sure what you're wanting from this question, Robin, and I'm not trying to deflect. Maybe you could break it down a little bit more for me, asking what the freedom of speech protected in the First Amendment details. And then a question for Dan is what are the duties of the executive branch as defined by the Constitution?
Oh, well, I'll go first, and you can think about yours. Is that it is to enforce, protect the laws that were made by the legislative, and so unfortunately, way back, laws started, and they call it, oh, it's the executive or the president's whatever in his pen, and they can get around that when they can't. Obama
Yeah,
came.
Robin rarely asks something. I like her a lot, but she rarely asks something that it's not pointing to something else. And I think you nailed it. That's it. There is truth in it, though. The truth is that he has bypassed the executive branch by all these
Who
signatures.
has?
This president, he's being
Well,
called.
I was just about to quote, though, Obama with his health care said, I don't need the legislature. I got my pen. And that's how.
Ha!
So, no, that's been a long
That's
time.
interesting. That's very
Yeah,
interesting.
that's
Because
a
he
long
didn't
time.
cause he didn't start
Bush.
with this president, Robin. Go ahead.
No. And that's, and each time, and each side, it's like if a Democrat does it, the Republicans like, they shouldn't be able to allow to do that. But then the Republican comes and they do it. And then the Democrats are like, he shouldn't be able to do that. And it's like, dudes, how about
Right, very well said. I agree. I agree, Dan. This is what keeps happening.
make a law
Oh,
not to do it?
you
But that
you
doesn't
cut
happen.
out. You cut out. Want to repeat your latest statement? You cut out.
Oh, I just, it's just that we need a time that both the Democrats and the Republicans can just agree. Let's just stop it then. Let's all these wars, all these killings, whether justified or not. Well, it's a police action and the president, and that's both sides also. We can go back to Bush, but it also goes back. Even Clinton was shooting rockets in when he had the and just happened by chance that it's when Monica Lewinsky came in the news. Clinton would shoot off missiles into, blew up a factory that made aspirin one time going after terrorists. So, yeah, I think, Robin, we should be able to agree with whatever our politics is that the presidency has been taken over by people all through the time that do it with the pen. And that should, and that's gone way back.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it has gone way back. It goes back to some of the presidents going way far back to like Roosevelt, and one of my favorite presidents from history was Ronald Reagan. But even Ronald Reagan had his dirty little hands tied up in things that a president had no business tying his hands up in. And the addition of the CIA mixed in with politics has just been the most toxic thing ever.
Oh, yeah. Now, and that's the problem is that even I had a friend who was in the national, what are they? Protect the World, Protect the United States, whatever that agency is. And I was talking to him one day and was saying, man, they can spy on us. They can spy on people. And this was during Bush time. And, where they listen to, they have everything recorded. This is recorded, phone calls,
The
everything else.
Patriot Act. The Patriot Act.
He said, we've been doing that for at least a decade. That everything, and he said, well, we just pop out words. Like if somebody says, those key words that could get people killed. I can make a, I can, here's how you make a, those type of things are flagged, and then they look at them, or can look at them, and see if it's an actual threat or somebody's just using a word that could be used to harm people. And but he said that's been going a long time. And so that's been the problem. We have, oh well, we need our security, so all right, it's okay if we spy on them or them. But then again, you go back to the time when these two tall buildings fell down, and they had the information. Now they say there's more stuff, but even just what they gave us at the time is that, oh well, yeah, the FBI knew, but the FBI couldn't tell the CIA, or the vice versa. And it's like, so even all that spying on the people didn't help because of the bureaucracies. So it's kind of, trust in Jesus. He's my president and king.
You know,
I
Dan,
really like to troll people about politics, but to me, it's not a big deal.
Dan, I'm not the smartest guy in the room.
Well, you're smarter than me, but we can.
Well, when I came in the US, the university wanted us to make a research paper on any subject we wanted, just so they see where we are coming from, what we're thinking, how we do research, and all that stuff. So a lot of my friends were like, I'm going to talk to you about Greece. I'm going to talk to you about our beaches. And we have so many islands and blah, 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 blah. So I made a research paper on the Patriot Act in 2005, and how it affects me in Greece and everybody worldwide, and how I'm not fond of it. So I don't think that was the smartest thing to do, because they didn't like me much, though that specific professor that was
That was bipartisan back then. That was Democrat Republican, man. We gotta.
and it was only 4 years after the towers, so people were taking this so seriously. No, we need to have everybody recorded, because some guys with box cutters took down the greatest buildings ever, which were leased by Silverstone, but let's not go there. Yeah, So I wasn't. I knew I shouldn't do it, but I still exercised my freedom of speech.
Okay, I agree. Then you're right on. I got to do harder to be stupider than you. That was pretty.
Yeah, I was pretty stupid. But isn't that funny? We consider it stupid to speak up your mind on a research paper that is not about what you write, but how you write it, right? And yet, that's just the facade. The truth is, no, you are not allowed to write that, because we ain't gonna like you from now on.
But guys, the Patriot Act was just, I don't want to be crude, but that was just the lubricant, because then
Oh yeah,
you
that was
have
exactly what it was.
you have George Bush passing the Patriot Act so they can spy on all of us. But then you have President Obama coming into office, and he passes the NDAA Act, which gives the government the authority to conduct drone strikes on American citizens on American soil. And it's
Right.
like, wait, Bush got elected because he said no foreign wars. And then Obama got elected because he said the wars have got to stop. And then both of them are strategizing against the American people.
Yeah, no, and that's where, to me, that's where I separate, and they try to do it not, but it's like there's Democrats, there's Republicans, and there's the idiot Trump. Three different philosophies. None of them Christ following.
Yep.
But it's like they always try to make him out as something that he's not. I mean, the dude was yeah, he's a rich guy that has the pride to want his name to be the most, and for his name to be the most, he ties that with economic advance. And so, yeah, it's that's where again I'm so glad that we have the internet. So when a guy that preached Christ and Him crucified and loved that more than his political movement that he was starting, Charlie Kirk, I wouldn't have known he was such a preacher of Jesus Christ, of Christianity, of Jesus is the only way, if he hadn't been assassinated. Because again, no matter what people think, I really don't like political stuff. And so I didn't listen much to Charlie Kirk or some of the other people because it would usually be just like politics.
Now
And
that now that you mentioned that, my brother, let me show you a very small interview. Not interview. One of the things that I have from him, so people can see what he was about. And he wasn't the preacher type, but he will always bring it in a discussion in the way that it would have an impact, in a way that it would make sense to the other person. So, and I want to ask my brother Dan and Stephen, have you seen many other occasions where the death of somebody and his blood coming out is allowed on YouTube and on other platforms? Because it's the only case that is allowed to be going around all over social media. It's called snuff, and it's not allowed to watch people die. You get immediate strike when it happens, but not in this case. Maybe some people want us to keep seeing this, just to
They
make sure. Yeah,
they
go
do.
ahead.
Well, no, you're right, Achilles. They want to now start showing this stuff, and it's going to happen to the other side too, because when I watch those videos, it fills me full of anger towards one side, and then when the other side watches opposite videos of the same nature, it's going to fill them with anger, and it's just the next level. Right? They've already desensitized us to the protesting against each other and the left and right. Now they have to step it up in order to divide us further, right? Because we've already got used to the division that's between us already. So the next step is to watch us watch our own martyrs die.
oh, exactly, and that's my prayer is that because there's a lot of people on the left who have been taught you've got to have you might not like somebody, but you don't hurt people. Guns, anti-guns, and then you see this whole thing when it's like, well, he kind of deserved it. Oh well, oh well, and they're like, whoa, and luckily those are positive things. Don't hurt people. Don't do
But
that, And but finish that
but
and
here,
said, but I don't want them to go then. Oh, then I better be a right wing politically. Hopefully it all points to Jesus, and that's the healing. That's the only time we can get
and
anywhere.
here's something interesting. The debate that has been going on for the past 10 years, the latest years has to do with your First Amendment, and the previous years had to do with your Second Amendment. What a coincidence, huh? So I want to solve at least this part forever. Anybody that is listening, the Second Amendment argument is very simple to solve. If you ban all the weapons or all the guns in the world, people will come to you with knives. You can't ban all the kitchen knives. All right? If somebody wants to do it, they will do it. Stop arguing about taking people's safety away, because there is a reason why it is a constitutional right. Because right now in my country, my government is a complete sellout, and there is nothing we can do about it. They're the ones with the guns. Keep that in mind, guys. That's why it is in your constitution. So this never happens.
But see, this is even a good example of what the government wants, right? Because here we're talking about the right to bear arms, when in reality, every one of these situations boils down to we need to do more for mental illness. We have a mental illness epidemic, and we have a heart problem epidemic. People are increasingly growing more and more wicked, and they're growing more and more mentally ill. And it's not a left or a right side. It's we have an epidemic on our hands. And like you said, Achilles, addressing the means that they use to cause harm is not the answer. Like, we're just talking about the symptom, but the real problem is people have a heart problem and people have a mental illness epidemic, and we're not addressing the real issues.
Yeah, and I'm just checking to see, because you triggered me into looking into this. So the number one cause of death in the US in 2021, number one is COVID. I don't even want to name it. All right.
Yeah.
Because that was 2021 and their propaganda was, we need to push this, But let me see here. I'll share. So C19 was number one. And then you have heart disease. We ain't doing much about that. Cancer, and we ain't doing enough about that either. Alzheimer's, dementia, stroke, chronic lower respiratory, diabetes, other diseases which relate to things people eat, right? Influenza and pneumonia, renal failure. The guns are not even in the top 5, in the top 7. So let's just focus there.
Yeah, and I did like Charlie Kirk's response to somebody that was horrified because there was 30,000 people dead with gun deaths, shootings, and even though some of that's suicide, some of that's, but he brought up the fact that on our roads, 55,000 people are killed on our roads, and so the question's simple: shouldn't we get rid of cars? If you want to get rid of guns, and a lot of that is gang, illegal gun use, a lot of that is suicide, then shouldn't we get rid of cars too?
And high buildings, tall buildings too.
And yes.
And let me get to Robin real quick. Robin, on this comment that you're saying, just noticed this before I brought up the statistics. You don't seem to have studied him, so I'm going to show you a video to see his behaviors. And what you mean is that you don't believe that with the statements that you believe he was making, because some people told you he was making statements like that, that's not a Christian behavior. Well, Christian behavior is to preach the word of God and to love your neighbor as yourself. So he kept acting like a true Christian. He never said, I'm with the left. I'm sorry if that would make him more Christian to you, because at the Republican side is at least pretending, if you ask me personally, I believe they are pretending to be with the Christian values. I think that is not the case, but they're not as blunt as the Democrat side concerning working for Satan. So you say that Kirk once said, right? You need to show me that, where he once said it, because we pick up something about somebody and we make a whole straw man about them because he said it once somewhere. All right, at least show me where. That he supported public executions. Okay, but wait, don't you support executions? What's the difference between a public execution and an execution that is private? There are people that need to see the execution. It is healing for them to see that they didn't lie about it, that it was true. Because if I tell you, don't worry, I'm going to execute that guy, and I do it in a closed room, you never know if I'm lying to you and I didn't give him a ticket to Hawaii. You will never know that. So before going any further to any of your next comment, let me show you this about Charlie. We are of the belief here that he didn't get killed because of his right policies, but of his testimony of Jesus, because he kept doing it. So the left and the right are being controlled by the person that doesn't want the name Christ to be spoken. So when you have at least 50 problems with the narrative of the FBI, at least 50, like where did the gun go, how did he disassemble it, how then did he assemble it again, but he wasn't having it on the roof, and why was he running already when the shot was heard. We have all that, and yet people still fall that it was some left-wing guy that did it. It beats me. I swear it beats me how people see all that and yet they continue believing the narrative, because we have this chat which was super convenient. And by the way, guys, in case you don't know, the guy's about to walk because they have nothing against him. He came in, but he didn't admit it. And the defense has so many things. This is a defense paradise for any lawyer. He's going to walk. You go watch and see this happen, because their arguments are weak. There is no proof that it was him. The picture doesn't look like him. The shot was way too far away. Anyway, yeah, I'll get to that, but let me show you this first, and to the viewers as a break, because I talk too much. All right.
Do me a favor, please be respectful, okay?
First of all, he said that to his crowd. All right, not to the girl speaking. He said that to his crowd. Go ahead and mute me, Steven.
Everybody, do me a favor, please be respectful, okay?
Hello. So I have a few leading questions before my main one, because I have to be honest, I don't really know that much about you. So would you say that you're very religious?
I am religious, however, every one of my political positions is defensible from a non-religious perspective.
Okay, great. So I was under the impression that your beliefs on abortion were stemming from your religious beliefs.
Well, at the core, that is correct, but I can get that it is defensible from using reason and prudence, as I have done the last couple of
Cool. So you're not trying to illegalize abortion based on the Bible?
Well, no, not based on the Bible. My personal conviction comes from the Bible. I want to make abortion illegal because it is the only applicable extension of laws we already and standards we already have in the West. Correct.
I'm sorry, can you maybe rephrase that?
Eliminating abortion is the only logical step while we apply the standard we already have in this country to unborn life. So we have murder laws.
Yes.
Therefore, murder laws should apply to unborn life as it does to born life.
Okay. So, again, reiterating, you're not trying to instate laws based on Christian beliefs because that would be unconstitutional, right?
Well, again, sort of, but no, I am not using scripture to defend my beliefs. However, my personal convictions start with scripture, but the political views that we're talking about here are all defensible using reason and Western tradition.
Okay. So, great. That's all I needed to know, that you weren't trying to instate laws based on Christian beliefs, because I would not be able to support anything that was so blatantly unconstitutional. But thank you for clarifying that for me. I had a whole thing ready, but I guess that wasn't necessary. Thank you so much.
Well first of all, just tell me more about how you view politics, or what. Is that okay? Or if not, and feel free to walk away. I'm not
maybe
here.
not in this crowd.
That's okay. Thank you. What's your name?
My name is Archer.
Archer, thank you for coming up, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thank you for clarifying.
And let me just say one last thing. I could tell you probably have a negative impression of Christianity, maybe. I hope one day we can earn back your support to making Jesus Christ your Lord and Savior. I'm sorry if the church has failed you in that way, because I do have strong religious convictions and beliefs, and there is a God who made you and loves you, and he sent his son to die for you.
Her name is Mom.
Okay, well, thank you. I do appreciate the candor and the courage to come up here, but we will pray for you. Thank you.
Okay. I can't get out.
Thank you, Archer.
Whoops.
All right,
Everybody?
Achilles, you are unmuted, and it looks like we lost Dan.
I hope he watched this so he can go on YouTube, because I'm pretty sure he agreed with every single thing said there. You see, we Christians, we are sinners too, and me and Stephen, we arrived where we are today, not because we were any better than what you are right now. We arrived where we are today by God's grace.
I was worse.
We can contest that, but we want to share this, and we want to hear your view, and we want to give you our view, and not fight, and especially not disobey one of God's commandments of not killing people. And you like it or not, we believe that that extends to the unborn life as well. We don't have a right over it.
Dan, you're back again.
I am back. Internet connection. Oh my gosh. Philip's been complaining about it, but now I will go to the big boss. We will go to Gemma. That was bad. So
upper management. Yep, I got one too.
I'm free.
I need my handler. I am so thankful that I have a manager.
There are days
Amen.
that I do, but they're not many. All right, go ahead then.
Well, we'll share. I'm sure, Stephen. We'll share the manager part with him.
No, you're not allowed to do that. Are you suggesting? No. I'm just. Yeah. Dan, did you watch the thing with Charlie?
I did, and I think it right at the end it collapsed. But yeah, that is why I've come to really change my mind.
No, your connection is bad. We lost you. We're losing you.
Darn it. All right, yeah, you for sure have to go talk to Gemma, Dan, and get that internet fixed.
I think it's somebody's playing Fortnite in your house.
Oh, and it's
What's
taking
that?
all the. You
No.
keep breaking in and out.
You're breaking in and out. All right. Until he comes back, Stephen, I don't know. Thoughts?
Yeah, just I don't want to get into the abortion conversation that in depth.
Oh no, I
obvious-
didn't share it for that. I just loved how he had this discussion where he made the distinction, and then at the end he felt terrible for that girl, and he said, I hope we as a church can do better to earn your trust one day, and I will pray that Jesus becomes your savior, becomes your. I remember how he said it, but that is a great way of getting this message across with love to others. And he has been doing that in universities all over the United States. So that is what characterizes him. That is what.
Yeah, and the thing is to be fair, a lot of young women who decide to have these procedures, these abortions, they feel like they have no help. A lot of them come from single family homes. They don't have the father in the picture. So my heart goes out to them in that sense. But the question I have is, why do we always have the funding to send places like Ukraine? We can completely tear apart Iraq and then rebuild the whole nation. We always have the money for that, but we can't seem to dig into our pockets and put some of that money we send overseas for other countries into our own healthcare system so that women have more options and they don't feel like they're alone in this decision that they have to make. Like, why can't we make more resources available and stop sending all of the resources over to other countries who hate us most of the time anyways? That's what bothers me. And that would eliminate so many of our problems. That would take a lot of the abortions off the table altogether if these young girls felt like they had a place to turn. But we don't give that to them, not in the ample way we should.
Right. 100% with you. And it's not just a country that sends a lot of money on weapons, on wars that it shouldn't be involved in. It's also other countries, like the state is not hugging the problem of somebody. It's attacking the problem, like the government is your enemy. So without questioning that, we start debating all the other issues.
Yeah, there's a lack of support for citizens and for healthcare especially, and that's why so many young girls get in the predicament that they're in, and they feel like they have no option. They know they can't afford to feed themselves. How are they going to feed a baby? And all of that. We could put a lot more money into adoption agencies, which we haven't done in a very long time. And you know, and then the other big issue seems to be the trans issue, and a lot of that could be resolved by increasing what we spend on healthcare. But we never put the money in the right place, and as a result, it causes these life issues to appear, and then we're battling each other because they've appeared, but most of these cases were avoidable.
And our position as a ministry is that we are tired of seeing people fight the left or the right instead of fighting the real enemy who is hiding behind both sides. So I'm not saying, oh, yeah, I'm not saying you can win. I'm not saying go fight the big guy, you can win. No, the Bible doesn't say we're going to win. Just don't fight each other. I understand that we are becoming pawns in the game they want to play.
Yeah, and I have to be honest, I have fallen into that trap too. You know, by this time last year, I was getting really bitter towards atheists, and we got to the place where we just banned atheists from coming onto the channel altogether because of a few select toxic people that we didn't care for. And also, I had other influences in my life of people who don't have any love for atheists. And it's a rolling effect. And now, after taking some time off of YouTube, I've kind of reevaluated, like, where was the love? I definitely myself was not showing much love and much grace this time last year.
But I'll tell you this, because you know, I'm sometimes worse than you are. So I'm gonna tell you this. Let's say what you were doing was something like what Charlie did, and you were going on universities, and on every university you went, you had a specific 5 people coming in all the time, and they wouldn't leave the microphone for others. Wouldn't you at some point ban them so others can take the microphone?
Yes, but where I went wrong is instead of banning the individual toxic people, I got to a place where I just didn't want to deal with atheists anymore. But we're called to witness to atheists. Like, we're not called to just disciple each other like we do. We're also called to bring in new believers to the faith. And I was failing on that because I just wanted to blanketly ban everybody and not the people who were actually doing the damage.
All right, I see that what you're saying, but I will just say that the Stephen that I've met used to do this every day, every hour, all the time, and it is, our panels are like a lottery. You don't know who comes in. Like, a week ago. No, it wasn't even a week ago. We got this fella that has confused spiritualism with Christianity, and he was seeing the visions, and I kept seeing the same Stephen that I used to. Like, I didn't see you being aggravated with him, be hostile to him. But those that are on the YouTube sphere, they just don't seem to be coming in to learn. And one of our jobs is what you said, but it's also to, once they don't want to hear it once, twice, we're supposed to wipe off our feet as we move away, as we walk away. That is biblical. So I don't see that behavior that you mentioned. All right.
I appreciate it.
I think it's normal. All right. And biblical.
And biblical. Dan, are you back yet?
He's back, but not yet.
He's still getting permission from Gemma to up the internet plan. I get it.
Oh, I was falling behind on comments.
Do you want to pop some of them up on the screen so we can address?
I was scrolled up. All right, where do I start?
Oh, your guess is as good as mine, my brother. Yeah,
well,
go ahead. That's a hard one, Achilles.
It is. It is. I know a lot of Christians are for the death penalty. I am actually not. But I have seen some crimes in the US. In fact, I have studied crime of the US, and there are some cases, my man, that it would be very healing to a family to know that that person that did that to their daughter is no longer on the earth. It is very hard. It's not easy to answer. I know in my country we don't have the death penalty. I think you are the only country in the Western world that has a death penalty.
Yeah. And I'll say that it is used sparingly. Like, there's a very small percentage of people who actually get the execution and not life in prison. But, yeah, that's a really hard one, man, because I want to say life in prison is a hard enough punishment, but I get the argument of a life for a life. And in some cases, like with Jeffrey Epstein, even as a believer, I think the most humane thing we could have done was to have publicly executed him for his crimes. But going as far as Charlie Kirk has and to say, looks like Dan's back, going as far as Charlie Kirk did and said, like, we should make 12-year-olds watch it. Yeah, if he did say that, which I haven't seen it, but she did post a link. If he did say that, I could say that's probably going way too far. Dan, welcome back.
Hey, well, I'll be quick then before I get booted again by Big Brother internet. But if you look at it, and where I would have argued, but I wasn't on with Robin, is that she said it's not Christian, and we must define and remind people that Christianity is the belief that Jesus, God in heaven, came down, lived perfectly, died for our sins, resurrected, and then with our faith, he makes us a child of Almighty God. And so I can disagree with something that, some of the people who believe in the death penalty, I kind of see both sides. That it's like Old Yeller, the dog who got rabies for protecting the family, and he was a good guy. He got the death penalty because he got a disease. And some of these people that do these heinous things, and even the one was that Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm not going to say which one, but a real sick person who said, "Take me because I can't get this out of my mind." I think I'm sitting here in prison and I'm thinking about and wanting to do more of what I did. And would you just please take me, kill me? I want to be freed from this.
It is a very long discussion because
Yes.
even taking a person to prison that makes this statement and not giving him the medical support like psychiatrists paid from the state, the prison is not offering anything. If you're not trying to heal whatever it is, all right, let's say there are people that they're not doing it for fun, something has happened in their past that has traumatized them, and we see them getting locked up forever without attention to their psyche,
Well,
to
that's not California. I had a guy really rich because he was in charge of subcontracting and bringing in social, whatever they're called, shrinks into the prisons. One of them was a woman, and she testified that she would have to sit there and watch these guys do whatever they wanted to do, and when she was trying to mentally help them. And if a person does that out in society, they would be locked up. But so of course, yeah, these are criminals, but it was a way for the criminals in California actually. Wow, there's a woman, and I get to do what I want, not touching, or not touching her. So yeah, but again, that is the prison system that's a big money maker. So every time somebody bullets the military industrial complex, somebody's getting their portfolios, their stocks are going up. In the prison system, there's a lot of private prisons, a lot of public prisons, but you have a prison guard union
yeah,
that
there is a complex that is
it's
making a lot of
totally
money.
complex.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, I can't help but notice, we're back at talking about the symptom, and the real problem is the mental illness that these people are going through, and we don't have adequate health care for them and their particular needs. Like, we know that people who harm children, that is nothing new. That's been going around for a long time. And if we could allocate some resources for prevention, or if people are starting to struggle with that issue, even the thoughts of it, they had somewhere to go, be like, hey, man, you've got to do something because my thought process is out of control. Or even murderers, right? Like,
Well,
that still is a heart problem. We just don't have any healthcare solutions.
well, the solution though for that in the United States right now is, well, just so they don't do it, who cares if there's nothing wrong with somebody just thinking about doing something to a minor. They actually have to do it. So you can't even address the symptoms anymore.
Yep.
And so that is the problem, is that we have taken Christ. Christ is the only way to free somebody totally, unless maybe electric shock or something, or taking out part of their brain to get them out of there. Most, and I'll stand with it. Most people who do those type of things had it happen to them as a child, and they said it comes at least tenfold. If somebody is hurt as a child, they will probably hurt 10 children themselves, and so that's why there's so much of it.
I do agree with that, Dan, like 100%. I believe the statistics reflect what you just said also, that the majority of people who violate children in that way were also violated as children. But like, my answer would be, okay, once you know, a lot of times, not every time, probably not even most of the time, but a lot of times it's documented once these children are violated like that. Why don't we get them into healthcare immediately for healing so that they don't grow up and in turn violate other children?
Well, because it's not a real health, a mental health issue. It's just the way they were born, and potentially, and just like all of that type of stuff. And so, and that's where it is kind of I would call it more of a religious belief system. And there are some others into it, but that is kind of a left center. I would go that instead of saying left right, it's left, and more of a moralistic is the opposite of right, is a moralist, true godly moralistic. Opposite of left is truly moralistic, and the left wing and right wing, they're just flapping together. And
True. That's very true. But like, okay, and these statistics are probably way off, but let's say 50% of the child violations that happen in this country alone, let's say 50% of them are from people who are just sick in the head. They have these inclinations that they're born with. The other 50% are hurt people hurting people. These are other children who were violated, and then they grow up and violate others. Why not spend the money to eliminate 50% of these violations by taking these children, once they get confirmed that they went through this ordeal, set them up with a lifelong counselor, and ingrain in them that what happened to you was, absolutely wrong. It was demoralizing. And maybe, just maybe, we could cut back half of the children being hurt in this country by just putting more money into the healthcare system. Like, it almost always goes back to that. It's almost always a heart problem or a mental illness problem. Now, without Christ, I don't think we can ever heal the heart problem. Like, we all agree on that. But if we can eliminate the healthcare problem, why aren't we? Or why aren't we at least trying to throw money at it like we do wars in foreign countries?
Well, that's where you'll have to get political, because the left, by a mass, thinks that there is no right and wrong. So the person who has that, just so they don't touch the little child, nothing wrong with them sitting and watching stuff and that. So that is a left-right issue to me, in that category. But it's because, like, and I can't believe that. It's like, oh, well, he has that thought, but we can't say anything. We can't say that's wrong. It's only wrong when he does it. And well, he or she, they're going to do it eventually. And that is the biggest problem, is that and most that's run the medical industry, that's why we had conversion stuff. That's why we had major universities lie, saying they weren't doing it to, they weren't trying to change the biology, physical biology.
Let me throw something here.
And I got to go, though, because I must have talked about Gemma too much, because now she wants me to go help her. So God bless you guys. Thank you, Robin. I wish you would have come on, because you have such great questions, and I don't do it justice, well, when I talk, but especially when I'm typing. I'll be listening, guys.
God bless, brother. See you soon.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you guys for not telling me. And now Krista is my new vice president, in charge of all you guys except for me, because she's the one that said, "Oh, they're on live right now."
She would be a great vice president.
Yeah.
But I gave her the presidential
That's my vote.
something award for valor.
She has my vote. She has Steven's vote, even if Steven didn't want to give it, because she's the handler. So she has his vote. So she's the vice president already.
I would give her the presidency, but I want Steven to stay around. I don't want him to be lynched. I don't want him to be legally executed.
She would, yeah. She definitely would at times.
Oh, you deserve it, but so do I. So we'll keep our wives at arm's reach when it comes to power on this format. All right, guys.
Bye, Dan.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, brother.
And just for the record, Krista has a ton of freedoms. I'm not the kind of husband that goes around railing about her submitting. I tell her, look, the level of submission you have is between you and Jesus. And I'm just glad to get what I can get out of it. And she makes her own decisions. Like, I do not rule my household. I look at being the head of the home as I'm responsible for all the bad stuff.
If the moment of silence is over, because
Yes.
I want this to sink in, I wanted to say, bring up something that comes from the chat, together with what Dan was saying, a discussion I was on with Robin. The thing is that when it comes to crime, there is no way to be preventative. This is very, very, very crucial. We cannot prevent a mind from turning and doing something bad. without becoming bad ourselves. If we start regulating what people say online, if we start looking into all their posts, we have some AI to monitor everything, then we have become the evil ourselves. The thing is, how do we fix this problem after it occurs? We can't prevent it. If somebody wants to take a life, they will. They might never post about it. You know what I'm saying? So we're not dealing with it correctly after it happens. And now they're trying to tell us that, you know what, if we monitor all your data, we will be able to prevent it, which reminds me of a Tom Cruise movie.
The Minority Report.
Right? Where everything is scanned, the whole timeline of your life is being examined. So this is where they're trying to take this, because as a fallen angel, Satan wants to tell God that he's all-knowing and he's better than God. So this is where they're taking this. But the solution, which will never come, it will never come, but the solution would be to act correctly after it happens and examine the causes. And as Stephen said earlier, have the Medicare able to actually help. There are some people that do stuff politically motivated, but there are others that have been hurt so much in their lives that their brain doesn't function correctly. They can't tell what is good and what is evil. Somebody needs to help them understand it. And we're not doing that at all. So I'm not saying it is going to get fixed. It is not. This world is devolving. It is escalating to the point of no return. And this is where the return will happen. Jesus is going to come back. For example, I never believed in what Charlie's belief was, that we are at a turning point, that we're going to make America great again. I don't think that's happening, because those that are actually working on it are getting shot.
Yeah.
But there is going to be the second coming. That is what is going to fix it all. So I used to be a fighter in social rights. I went to riots, and then I realized that all I managed to do in riots is have my face recorded, have my neck hit by a globe, the cops, how do you call that? Baton. Right.
Ooh, ouch.
Ooh, not just once, many times. So I then realized that, we can, I was not reading my Bible at the time. I didn't know that, hey, are you fighting for Satan's world? Are you fighting for a place that God says that it's going to reach a point of no return anyway? If you are, the best you can do is stall it. The best. You can't stop. And I don't believe you can stall it either.
I mean, I'm under another opinion that's very unpopular, but as someone whose family is one of the oldest families in the country, my family predates George Washington's family being here. I grew up very patriotic, loving my country, but now as I'm older, I have to admit openly that one, the country I grew up loving was on life support long before I was ever born, and it officially died September 11th, 2001. And the country we now live in is not the country that my family has loved all throughout our nation's history. We're living in a totally different United States than we were in the 90s and before then. And I don't think it's fixable, because I don't think this is the same nation to start with. I think this one was founded broken. They just had a secret founding of it. And like you, Achilles, normal for us is never coming back. Only Jesus is returning. But The American dream that we once knew and loved, it's gone. It's dead.
I agree. And it's not only the American dream. We have something similar here, the Greek dream. A lot of people fall for it. It ain't coming back. Let me quickly address this. That is the only preventative measures. I agree, Robin. The only preventative measures that we could have, and yet this government is not investing on those.
Not only are we not investing on it, but we have been proactively attacking it, right? So back in the early 80s, you have the CIA feeding cocaine and crack into inner cities, causing young fathers to get addicted and young mothers breaking up the family home, the nuclear family unit. And then at the same time as flooding these poverty-ridden communities with drugs, they start increasing social welfare, but only for single mother homes and single family homes. They're not putting in the money for keeping families together. So now we have generations of children growing up in single parent homes. The fathers are totally absent. The mothers are working multiple jobs to pay the rent. And we wonder why we're in this problem. Well, for one, it would be a big help if we would put resources into the problem, which we never sufficiently have done. And two, it would really help if the CIA would stop putting drugs in the poverty-ridden communities.
And to add to what you're saying, it's not just drugs. When I came to the US, what blew my mind was how real, and I mean the word real as a bad thing, how real shit gets when it comes to surviving. And people resort, due to all these thoughts and stress, they resort to alcohol. And then their life is ruined. So before we make it to the drug problem, what is done to address that one? I mean, I remember a friend that was a mother. Her husband was drunk, and they went to court, and she took the child, and she lives alone with the child. She was raising the child. She had 2 jobs, and yet she wasn't going at the position she was meant to be, to get the money to feed the child and herself, because she was getting very drunk and she wouldn't wake up to go to work. So here's another enemy that is not getting addressed. We have so many innocent things being illegal, and we have the most guilty one, guilty of DUIs, murders, ruined lives. We have it roam free. Oh yeah, you're allowed to take a drink as long as you are 21. Yeah, sure, take it.
And on top of that, the amount of money we spent on this war on drugs for drugs to still come out winning, now we have a new epidemic with OnlyFans, because now we have fatherless homes. Right. Well, we have children growing up without a dad, and their mothers are having to resort to OnlyFans to pay the rent. And then these kids are going to school. This is an epidemic here now. These kids are going to school, and their friends are showing them their mom's OnlyFans account. So you know that you're growing up in a home without a father, so you think your father didn't love you, and then you find out that your mom is a virtual prostitute. Like, how is this not going to cause economic problems in the future? How is this not going to cause a degree of mental illness for these young people?
I was about to address what you just said right now, because I thought you wouldn't mention it. Yes. How do you fix that child? That the other child comes to her and shows her her mom on OnlyFans. How do you fix that?
Yeah. And then you go to your mom and you say, Mom, what are you doing? Knock this off. And the mom says, hey, this is how I've been paying the rent. Like, this is why you have a house over your head or a roof over your head. So the alternative is we go live in a tent while we try to find your dad. So, like, we build these problems for ourselves. And then once the problem evolves, the left and right fight over how to fix it. But it was totally preventable.
Yep. 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 That's just the case for everything you can think of, guys. Anything you can think of. That's just the case. We could prevent this, but let's allow it to go and then have them fight over it. And then we're going to provide the solution that is what we wanted to do to begin with. And they will both suck it. Both sides.
Right. And at the end of the day, we still have children going hungry, and we have these young people growing up mentally ill with heart problems because they felt the love rejection from their father, and they've seen the mentally ill things their mothers had to do just to survive. So you're either going to grow up hating people or have serious malfunctions in the brain. And it's preventable. Like, we could definitely stop funding foreign wars. You know, how many nuclear bombs do we really need? Like, we're rebuilding our arsenal right now because we gave most of our supply to Ukraine. Why do we need enough nukes to bomb the whole world 56 times? We don't. Why not put some of that resource into keeping young families together, keeping fathers in the home, and making it to where they can live easier and not have this division? Like, we just hate actual problem solving. We like having the problems, I'm afraid.
Not we, those that are running every government on the planet.
Exactly.
It's not just the US. It is all over the place. So even if you guys were to go against the whole stream, the rest are gonna swallow over you. It's not just one government, it's every government. If one government steps out of the plan for the New World Order, that government is probably gonna be labeled a terrorist regime and it's gonna get bombed. So
And the sad thing is, Achilles, you and I agree that normal's not coming back. Like, Jesus is returning, we're not going to get better. But the sad thing to me is that there are measures we could take, but we're not willing to. First of all, if we were to abolish political parties altogether, instead of having a problem arise and me saying this is how the right should fix it, and Robin saying this is how the left should fix it, we would both not care about left or right, and we would just say, hey, Robin, let's fix this. Like, we both agree that these are crimes against humanity. Let's fix it. And we wouldn't be worried about what the good old GOP thinks or the good old DEM thinks. We just wouldn't care. We would just work together.
Or if you had more parties, so the debate could encompass all the gray and not just the white and the black. There are shades of gray between the white and the black, right? So if you, let's say, before your elections had a panel of 8 different parties with all the shades, and then your vote was reflected within the parliament, then you would have this debate going on and it wouldn't be so polarizing. But they have allowed it to be this way for the polarization. I know I've said this to you 100 times backstage, so let me say this so Robin can hear it too. Robin, you notice that although I am a Christian and I believe strongly in what the Bible says, and I read it every day, and I keep learning, there are so many views that I have that I agree with you more than I agree with, for example, Dan, right? Like what you were talking about a little earlier. Where do I fall in your categories? Am I a Democrat or am I a Republican?
In reality, you're a mix, like most of us.
And you can't have representation as a mix, right? So social issues should not be all connected to one side or another side. Every social issue is a different subject and it needs a different approach. And it is like people. Every different individual has different motivations for doing what they're doing. We can't just treat them all the same. And the same with social stuff. But if I were in the US, I would have to make a choice between one of the two. One is saying 5 things I don't agree with, but it's saying the one thing that I do agree with. And the other side is saying the one thing I don't agree with, and the other 5 things I agree with. So who do I vote for?
Yeah. And again, we put our resources in the wrong place. Like, we've spent how many billions of dollars on the war against drugs? That's billions of dollars we could have used on the war against poverty. And at the heart of the drug problem is poverty. But then it gets worse than that. We artificially created the drug problem to begin with. So we create the problem, and then we waste all of our resources fighting a problem in the wrong way, when we could have benefited a lot of hungry children by fighting a war against poverty.
One question popped in my mind earlier as we were addressing alcohol. I wanted to ask you something, and because I have nothing else to say to what you're saying, because I agree 100%, let me ask you.
Mhm.
Have you watched a film called Thank You for Smoking?
No.
You must. Please, make arrangements. All right?
Okay.
It is 3 friends that meet, and they talk about their jobs. The one of the 3 is the head of the tobacco lobby. The other one is the head of the alcohol lobby, and the other one is the head of the weapons lobby. And they're all friends, and they sit down and they have a beer all the time, and they talk about the things they did during their week. You gotta watch that film.
All right. I will definitely take a look at that. And that's the American mindset. And if, from what you're saying, Achilles, it's not just American, it's worldwide.
It is worldwide. This world is fallen, and if you haven't waken up to this fact yet, we just hope you do before the curtain gets pulled. It's a stage. The whole thing is a stage. Don't be an actor. Don't be on the stage and believe your role. Understand that they have created this stage, and at some point the curtain is gonna drop. We are not better than you. We just woke up to this. We just woke up to this a little earlier than you did. That doesn't make us any better.
Mm.
We all voted, believed. Stephen was part of the Republican Party,
The Republican National Committee.
right? I was happily voting at the times that I was voting, and at some point I realized they're just messing with me, and the least I could do is vote. Do you know, Stephen, they did, I'm not the only one awakened like this. They did a study in Greece. They're asking like questions, political questions, that determine discussions on TV and all that. A poll, right?
Yep.
And there was a question in the poll: who do you think is best suited for president? The first one was our current prime minister. The second one was the competitor. The third one was the second competitor. The fourth one was Tsipras, my favorite dude,
Mm-hmm.
And guess who wins?
The guy you're so fond of?
No. Nobody is better suited for president than anybody that wants to be president. Nobody.
Well, and you know what's funny about that, Achilles, is none of my candidates I have ever voted for in the primary have won, right? So in 2008, my guy was Mike Huckabee. And then in 2012, my guy was Newt Gingrich. And then 2016, my guy was Ben Carson. My candidate that I have picked out to be a good leader in every election since I've been able to vote has never come close. They always give us the worst candidate possible, and then the Democrats seem to do the same thing, and then we always get stuck choosing between the lesser of two bumbos.
And then it becomes the lesser of two evils.
Yep.
Further up, when the candidates are selected, I should say,
Yep.
then we have the presidential debate, which is now a true battle between the lesser evil.
Yeah.
And you go along with it because you think it is, the others didn't vote for him, so you have to go along. What do? You
Right.
can't go against.
That's why I'm not focusing my energy on voting anymore in campaigning. Like, I've seen too much in my short time to know that it's not worth my time. My time is better invested right here on YouTube and TikTok, trying to win souls, trying to show people like Robin love and compassion, and just it's all going to burn. Like you say it all the time, Achilles. It's all
Yep.
going to burn.
Which brings us to a very important subject. Today's Lion's Den could be labeled the social Lion's Den because we've talked about all that stuff. The thing is that the reason we're doing that is not because we care for politics. The reason we're doing it is because from one side, it has become idolatry. From the Christian side, it has become idolatry. And from the atheistic side, we are trying to win you over the same way we got won over by understanding that this world is a joke. And we are fighting for the world after it. So there is a place for discussing politics and social issues, especially social issues. They are very important. Because we do get some people saying, oh, this is not a Christian channel, they're talking about politics. If you label everything as politics, like people getting bombed, people dying because they have no money, people spending all their lives in one country and then getting kicked out of it, you call that politics? You're not a human, really. So they are social issues, and they are part of the Bible. We can go on and bring up verses to prove that. There are too many. We would like to see more Christians attack idolatry so they can get out of this right and left paradigm. The Bible doesn't talk about the right and the left. The Bible talks about a fallen world run by Satan and having his princes all over the place. And asks us to not love anything from this world. So it's a double-fold reason that we didn't plan it. We went live today without having a subject. We were like, let's just go live. We have free time, let's go live.
That is 100% accurate. We had no syllabus for today at all. No study guide. And yet here we are.
We could start bringing in the book of Revelation and start talking about where we are, but let's leave that as a study, right? Where we will not take so much time from that on social subjects because we did it today. We talked about. What do we do? Orthodoxy? Want to attack orthodoxy?
Oh, man. I don't even know, Achilles. Like, we've attacked the idolatry of Orthodoxy and Catholicism so many times, I don't think we have any Orthodox or Catholic listeners anymore.
I don't mind from one perspective. From the other, I do want them waking up. Because, by the way, instead of going into that, I do want to say that, just so you know, Robin, I agree with you. I haven't been reading your latest comments. Oh, I do. I see my name though, so let me see that. Can you share many values, and I will take this over the same beliefs, but different values any day. Okay. Yes, me too. I just want you to know that one of the things we agree with is there has never, in the history of the United States, there has never been such a joke for a president. I just want to throw that out there as Achilles, not the whole channel. I'm just throwing this out there that I've been telling Stephen that right now the Democrats have great comedy. Every show that they do is hilarious. Why? Because the guy is a joke. All right. And I expect people to see at some point that he is corporatocracy personified. And we have sold out the government to the corporate. This is no longer the people speaking. Now it will do some things for the people, so he can have some people with him, but we know who he's working for. On the other hand, if you go back to my history on my channel, don't expect to find a single president of the late decade that I haven't attacked. I'm not a right and left guy. I didn't like what Obama did. I didn't like what Biden did. I definitely didn't like what Bush did and the things that happened during his presidency. So Trump's no exception. But
we haven't had a good leader since Reagan. And I know someone else on the left will probably disagree, but I stand by that. The first Bush was a warmonger, and then you had Clinton, who sold out our jobs with NAFTA, GAFTA, and GATT. Then you had the other Bush, who was trying to finish up what his daddy started. Then we had Obama, and then we had Biden, or Trump, and then Biden, and then Trump again. Like, we have not had good leadership since Ronald Reagan.
And don't forget something about Clinton, because I see a lot of people forgetting that. He's responsible for what happened in Serbia, for the bombing of Sarajevo, and how many Christians and how many people died, and how the Croats with the Muslims were slaughtering Christians. Not only was Clinton the head of doing this, but Biden was his exterior minister. So these two have their hands very, very, very bloody. And it slipped a little under the radar for most of the US. Not everybody, but he is guilty of war as well. And then Obama comes up, and the first thing he says is that he's sending troops, 12,000 troops to Afghanistan, and he receives the Nobel Peace Prize for sending troops. Peace Prize.
Oh, man.
And by the way, have you heard Trump lately discussing about getting that base back from Afghanistan?
No. What was the latest rhetoric?
There is a base, a US base there, that Trump is asking Afghanistan to deliver it to them. But the atrocities that took place in that base and the prisons and the cages that it has, they have a glass rooftop, and there is a second floor. So people are walking, and as they're looking down, they're looking at prisoners. And they had like half a yard, a square as a room. And the atrocities that took place there are so obscene that the Afghans are not giving it back. But what I wanted to note about this and say is that when Biden said we're pulling out of Afghanistan, they left that base as it was. Do you know what that means?
No.
Weapons, airplanes, helicopters, even dogs. They left them all to the Afghans. And now they're using those to say, you ain't coming back because we're going to shoot you with what you left here. So that's such a joke that it is a joke to start saying whose fault it is. I don't see any president from maybe after Reagan, because I'm not fond of a lot of some things Reagan did too. It was the beginning of an actor for a president, like he doesn't need to know world politics. Did you see Trump the other day? He didn't have a speech written, and he said that I ended the war between Azerbaijan and Albania.
Yeah, I did.
And first off, it's not Azerbaijan, it is Azerbaijan. And second, Albania is very far away. It was Armenia. So that whole thing, not knowing even where the countries are, kind of started with an actor for a president. It's like he doesn't need to know stuff, as long as people like him. But after that, yeah, I don't see any president that wasn't a warmonger, that cared for social issues. I've never seen it.
No. Yeah, and it goes as far back as probably further, but World War II, letting the Japanese attack Pearl Harbor so we could intervene in the war in Europe. We've had the sheep pulled over our eyes for so long now. I don't think we would understand what was happening if we could see.
Yep.
Well, Achilles, I think we went full circle. So unless you have another topic on mind, we can cut this at the 2-hour mark and talk backstage.
Yep. I'm just responding to Robin real quick.
We have repeatedly put the invite out there for everybody to come join us and correct us and agree with us, and no one has come. So we're very sorry, guys.
We appreciate you, Robin, as well. Thank you for being around and helping us steer this show tonight with your questions and your discussion and your ears at the same time, also listening and also stating your opinion. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and again, keep in mind, Achilles and I, honest to God, did not have an agenda for tonight. We had a 3-minute clip that he made about the chip, and then as a fallback, we had like 10, 15 minutes left of a video on orthodoxy, and we were probably going to head down that way. So this was totally off the cuff. None of this was rehearsed, and what you guys got from us tonight is our true, honest-to-God feelings on all these matters.
So can't wait to see you on the next show. Let's see what happens then.